Welcome to our channel. Today we're going to explore one of the most enigmatic characters in the Bible, Melchizedek. Who was he? A priest? A king? Or something much more mysterious? Get ready for a fascinating journey as we unravel the secrets of this intriguing figure, whose appearances in the Bible raise as many questions as they answer. Melchizedek is only mentioned a few times in the scriptures, but his influence is profound and long-lasting. From his encounter with Abraham to his connections with Jesus in the New Testament, Melchizedek challenges understanding and invites us to explore the sacred text more deeply. He appears in the book of Genesis as the king of Salem and priest of the Most High God, blessing Abraham after his victory over the kings. The meaning of his name, King of Righteousness, and the absence of any specific genealogy or lineage make him a mysterious and unique figure. But why is Melchizedek so important? In the New Testament, specifically in the letter to the Hebrews, he is compared to Jesus, described as having an eternal priesthood and no known origin. This raises fascinating questions about the nature of his role and his significance in the biblical narrative. Melchizedek not only blesses Abraham, but also offers bread and wine, which many see as a foreshadowing of the Last Supper and Christ's sacrifice. Before we start, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and activate the notification bell so you don't miss any new content. Let's unravel the mystery of Melchizedek together. By the end of this video, you'll have a deeper understanding of who Melchizedek was, his relevance, and what he represents in the scriptures. So get ready to dive into this incredible biblical journey. In the vast panorama of biblical scripture, few figures are as enigmatic as Melchizedek. He appears suddenly in the narrative of Genesis in chapter 14, just after Abraham, then called Abram, rescues his nephew Lot and defeats a coalition of kings. Melchizedek, described as the king of Salem and priest of the Most High God, meets Abraham and blesses him, offering bread and wine. This brief appearance leaves an indelible mark on biblical tradition. The name Melchizedek is loaded with meaning. In Hebrew, Melchi means king and Zedek means justice. Therefore, Melchizedek is the king of justice. His city, Salem, is often associated with Jerusalem and means peace. Thus, he is seen as the king of justice and peace, titles that reflect an ideal of just and peaceful governance, characteristics that transcend his brief mention in the Bible. In addition to his royalty, Melchizedek is highlighted as a priest of the Most High God. He blesses Abraham, acknowledging God's greatness and celebrating Abraham's victory as a divine act. This act of blessing is significant because Melchizedek does not belong to the Levitical lineage, which would later be associated with the priesthood in Israel. His position as an independent priest sets an important spiritual and theological precedent. The figure of Melchizedek, with his unique combination of kingship and priesthood, resonates throughout the scriptures. In the New Testament, especially in the letter to the Hebrews, Melchizedek is used as a prototype of Christ. He is described as an eternal priest, without genealogy, beginning or end, which reinforces the vision of a priesthood that transcends human and genealogical limitations. Melchizedek remains a figure of mystery and reverence, a symbol of justice, peace, and eternal priesthood. His appearance in the Bible, though brief, leaves a lasting legacy that continues to inspire and intrigue scholars and believers to this day. As we explore more about Melchizedek, we realize how his life and name echo great spiritual truths, challenging us to understand more about divine justice and peace. Melchizedek is a unique figure in the Bible, not only because he was a king, but also because of his role as priest of the Most High God. He is mentioned in Genesis 14:18-20, where he meets Abraham after the latter's victory over the enemy kings. As a priest, Melchizedek represents a direct connection with the divine, acting as an intermediary between God and man, a role that confers great respect and spiritual authority. The blessing that Melchizedek bestows on Abraham is a moment of great significance. He offers bread and wine, which are symbols of sustenance and communion, and blesses Abraham, saying, "Blessed be Abram by God Most High, creator of heaven and earth, and blessed be the Most High God who has delivered his enemies into his hands." This blessing recognizes both Abraham's victory and God's sovereignty, highlighting Abraham's faith and obedience as instruments of God's purpose. The act of offering bread and wine also has deep resonances in the Christian tradition, being seen as a foreshadowing of the Eucharist, where Jesus offers his body and blood in the forms of bread and wine. This connection between Melchizedek and Jesus is explicitly made in the letter to the Hebrews, where Melchizedek is described as a type of Christ, an eternal priest who transcends the priestly order of Levi. This suggests a spiritual continuity that links the Old and New Testaments in a profound and mysterious way. Furthermore, Melchizedek's priesthood is remarkable for its uniqueness. He does not belong to the Levitical priestly lineage that would later be established with Aaron's descendants. Instead, his priesthood is independent and eternal, pointing to a divine order that precedes and surpasses human institutions. This reinforces the idea that true spiritual authority comes directly from God, not through human lineages or institutions. Melchizedek, as priest of the Most High God, blessing Abraham, not only strengthens this patriarch's faith, but also offers us a glimpse into the nature of the divine priesthood, a combination of spiritual authority, blessing, and communion with God. His enigmatic figure continues to inspire and challenge our understanding of God's ways and the nature of spiritual leadership. In addition to his role as priest, Melchizedek is also presented as the king of Salem. Salem, which many scholars identify as ancient Jerusalem, was a city that symbolized peace and prosperity. The name Salem derives from the same root as Shalom, which means peace in Hebrew. Therefore, Melchizedek was the king of peace, a title that resonated deeply in biblical tradition and highlighted his role as a just and peaceful leader. As king, Melchizedek ruled with justice and fairness, exemplifying the qualities of an ideal ruler in the biblical narrative. His city, Salem, represented a haven of tranquility in a world often marked by conflict and war. This reign of peace and justice echoes the promises of a messianic future where a just ruler would bring lasting peace to all nations. The brief mention of Melchizedek as king and priest suggests a figure who combines temporal and spiritual power. This combination is rare and significant, highlighting Melchizedek as a forerunner of messianic figures who would exercise authority over both body and soul. In the New Testament, this idea is reinforced when Jesus is compared to Melchizedek, being both a king and an eternal priest. The connection between Salem and Jerusalem is particularly important. Jerusalem would become the central city in the Jewish and Christian faith, the site of the temple and Jesus' crucifixion. Melchizedek, as the ancient king of this holy city, establishes a spiritual lineage that links the events of the Old Testament with the fundamental events of the New Testament. This gives Melchizedek a crucial role in the biblical narrative, linking past and future in a unified vision of redemption and justice. Therefore, Melchizedek as king of Salem represents not only a just and peaceful leader, but also a prophetic symbol of hope and redemption. His enigmatic figure continues to inspire and challenge our understanding of the role of the ideal ruler and the deep connection between justice, peace, and spirituality in the biblical tradition. Melchizedek, with his unique combination of kingship and priesthood, is often seen as a forerunner of Jesus Christ in the New Testament. In the letter to the Hebrews, the author makes a direct comparison between Melchizedek and Jesus, highlighting the eternal and superior nature of his priesthood. Melchizedek is described as a priest without genealogy, without beginning of days or end of life, which makes him a figure of great mystery and reverence. Jesus is presented as a priest after the order of Melchizedek, which means that his priesthood is eternal and transcends human limitations. While the Levitical priesthood depended on lineage and succession, Jesus' priesthood, like Melchizedek's, is direct and divine. This establishes a profound theological link between the Old and New Testaments, showing how Jesus fulfills and perfects the ancient priestly promises and functions. The similarity between Melchizedek and Jesus goes beyond the priesthood. Both are described as kings of justice and peace, ruling with equity and compassion. This dual role of king and priest is central to the Christian understanding of Jesus as the Messiah, who brings both divine justice and eternal peace to humanity. Melchizedek, then, serves as a typological figure who prefigures the coming of Christ and his redemptive role. Melchizedek blesses Abraham, an act that foreshadows the spiritual blessings that Jesus offers to all believers. Just as Melchizedek brought bread and wine to Abraham, Jesus institutes the Eucharist, offering his body and blood as spiritual sustenance. This symbolic connection strengthens the link between the two and shows how the story of Melchizedek anticipates the central events of Christianity. Therefore, Melchizedek and Jesus are closely linked in the biblical narrative, with Melchizedek serving as a foreshadowing of Christ's eternal and redemptive priesthood. This comparison helps us to better understand the unique nature of Jesus and his central role in salvation history, highlighting the continuity and depth of divine revelation throughout the Scriptures. Melchizedek is a figure shrouded in mystery, and his brief mention in the Bible leaves much room for interpretation and speculation. His lack of genealogy, birth, or recorded death sets him apart from other biblical figures, creating an enigma that has intrigued scholars and theologians for centuries. This lack of biographical details contributes to the aura of mystery surrounding Melchizedek, making him a timeless and almost supernatural character. The interpretation of Melchizedek varies between different traditions and schools of thought. Some see him as a celestial being, an angel, or even a pre-incarnate manifestation of Christ. Others suggest that he was a wise and just Canaanite king, whose monotheistic faith brought him closer to Abraham. These diverse interpretations reflect the complexity of his figure and the depth of his impact on religious traditions. The enigma of Melchizedek is amplified by his later appearances in the Bible, especially in the New Testament. The letter to the Hebrews uses Melchizedek to argue the superiority of Christ's priesthood over the Levitical priesthood, highlighting the eternal and divine nature of his ministry. This reinforces the idea that Melchizedek is not just a historical figure, but a profound theological symbol. In addition to the Scriptures, Melchizedek appears in other religious and apocryphal texts, where his figure is further elaborated and interpreted in a variety of ways. These additional mentions add to the rich tapestry of his legend, amplifying his influence and mystery. He is a figure who transcends simple classification, serving as a link between the divine and the human, the historical and the spiritual. Ultimately, Melchizedek remains a fascinating enigma in the biblical narrative. His figure challenges us to think beyond the obvious and explore the depths of faith and spirituality. He is a reminder of the complexity and beauty of the biblical tradition, inviting us to reflect on the deepest questions of existence and the relationship between God and humanity. By exploring the mysteries and complexities of Melchizedek, we delve into a rich and profound narrative that links the Old and New Testaments. From his enigmatic appearances in Scripture, his role as priest of the Most High God, to his function as King of Salem, Melchizedek challenges our understanding and invites us to reflect on fundamental themes of faith. Melchizedek, with his eternal priesthood and his blessing to Abraham, foreshadows Jesus Christ in a unique way. He serves as a crucial link that helps us better understand the continuity and depth of divine revelation. His connections with Jesus in the New Testament reinforce the importance of his figure and the redemptive nature of Christ's priesthood. The lack of biographical details and the various interpretations of Melchizedek amplify his aura of mystery, making him a timeless and universal figure. He represents the junction of the divine and the human, the temporal and the eternal, providing a unique vision of divine justice and peace. Melchizedek reminds us of the complexity and beauty of the Scriptures, inviting us to explore more deeply the spiritual truths contained in the Bible. His figure inspires us to seek a fuller understanding of the justice, peace, and eternal priesthood that he symbolizes. As we conclude our journey through the life and legacy of Melchizedek, we are reminded that the Bible is full of enigmatic and inspiring figures who continue to challenge and enrich our faith. May we continue to explore and reflect on these stories, finding in them wisdom, hope, and inspiration for our own spiritual journey. Did you enjoy this exploration of Melchizedek? Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and share it with your friends so that more people can discover these fascinating Bible stories. Thanks for watching and see you next time.